What if I told you that most people today are not living a full life, but rather a kind of quiet, perpetual defeat? And what's even more shocking, it's not because they lack talent, ability, or intelligence. No, the underlying reason, the root of their stagnation and frustration is the absence, the scarcity, or even the complete annihilation of mental strength. It's a raw truth, but a necessary one. Look around you. We scroll endlessly through social media. We constantly compare ourselves to superficial glimpses of other people's lives. We fall prey to envy, and then, with an almost absurd incredulity, we wonder why we feel stuck, weak, or irrevocably lost. We pursue comfort with an almost religious devotion, only to find ourselves more exhausted, more empty. We avoid pain at all costs, as if it were a mortal enemy, and yet, paradoxically, we suffer daily in quiet, profound ways. The truth, my friends, is relentless. Comfort, that sweet and seductive trap, is slowly killing us, eroding our will, our resilience, our spirit. It wraps us in a soft blanket of inaction that over time becomes a shroud. Meanwhile, struggle, though harsh, painful, and often disheartening, is the only thing that holds the seed of true power, the essence of transformation. But here's the twist, the revelation that the wise men of old already knew. The ancient Stoics, those masters of life, understood this dynamic long before smartphones, social media, or shelves full of self-help books even existed. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, who is also one of the greatest and most lucid Stoic philosophers humanity has ever known, left us a timeless sentence that resonates with devastating force. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That, my friend, is not merely a motivational quote. It is a weapon, a map, a philosophy of life. It is armor forged in wisdom to navigate the chaos of the world and remain unshaken. Stoicism is not here to make your life easy, to pave your way. It is here to make you unstoppable, to turn you into a force of nature. In this video, here on your channel, Stoic Alchemist, we're going to dive deep into 8 brutal Stoic laws. These are not pretty, superficial self-help concepts. They are relentless truths that will force you to level up mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. We are talking about real transformation, tangible change. Each of these laws has been drawn directly from raw Stoic truth, battle-tested in ancient Rome by emperors, slaves, and sages alike, and it remains painfully relevant today, amidst our modern complexity. But before we begin this deep dive, I need you to do one thing. If you are truly serious about your growth, if you are committed to your evolution, don't just sit back and watch this like another motivational clip playing in the background. This is not background noise. This is your wake-up call. I want you to like this video right now. Drop a comment as we go through, especially when a point hits hard, when it resonates deep within you. Share this message with someone who truly needs to hear it, with someone who is searching for their own inner alchemy. And most importantly, don't skip any part, because even one missed law could cost you clarity or courage in a critical moment, in an instant that truly matters. On Stoic Alchemist, we build resilience, step by painful, powerful step. Let's begin. Law number 1. Embrace discomfort like a friend, not an enemy. We have been conditioned by modern society, by advertising, by our own innate tendencies to flee from pain, to avoid any hint of discomfort as if it were a plague. But the Stoics, with their timeless wisdom, taught us the exact opposite. They whispered in our ear firmly to run toward it with our eyes wide open, with the intention to learn. Think for a moment about your moments of greatest personal growth. Those times in your life where you truly evolved. Did it happen when you were in your comfort zone, relaxed, with everything flowing effortlessly? Or did it happen when life punched you in the face, when you faced unavoidable adversity and had to choose? Rise up or stay broken? Marcus Aurelius, the emperor, was no stranger to difficulty. He faced devastating wars, personal betrayals, diseases that ravaged his empire, and yet he led with an imperturbable calm. He didn't avoid discomfort. He invited it, he used it, he allowed it to shape him. His famous aphorism, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way," is not just poetic fluff, it is a universal law. Every obstacle that stands before you is an opportunity, an obstacle course to sharpen your will. Every delay is a test of your patience. Every rejection is a teacher that builds resilience. Modern life screams at us. Avoid pain at all costs. Stoicism, in contrast, whispers back, train for it. That cold shower in the morning, what is it but a test of your mastery over immediate pleasure? That difficult conversation you've been postponing, isn't it a path to deeper understanding or a necessary resolution? That gym session, when your body screams fatigue and your mind begs to quit, isn't that precisely where your character is being carved, fiber by fiber? The Stoics firmly believed that by choosing discomfort in a controlled manner, you prepare yourself. You arm yourself for the inevitable chaos of life. Thus, when the storm hits, when the world crumbles around you, you will already be built. You will already be ready to resist. Seneca, another giant of Stoicism, practiced sleeping on the floor, eating plain food, wearing old clothes. He didn't do it out of self-hatred, but out of self-training. Why? Because that way, when life stripped away his comfort, he wouldn't be shocked. He wouldn't panic. He would already be prepared. He would have already faced that reality. And here's the deeper truth. Discomfort is not your enemy. It's your mirror. It shows you who you really are, and more importantly, who you are becoming. We avoid a small pain today, only to suffer a much greater pain tomorrow. But if you lean in, if you walk through that fire with full awareness, something wild happens. You stop fearing the pain. And that, my friend, is the true beginning of your freedom. From now on, see discomfort as a sparring partner. It might bruise you, but it's building you. Choose one small discomfort today and do it. No debate, no excuses. A cold shower, an uncomfortable conversation. Sit with boredom instead of seeking immediate distraction. Remind yourself, this is how warriors are forged. Because the only way to become unstoppable is to stop running. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments to solidify your commitment to the Stoic Alchemist channel and to your own growth. Discomfort is my training ground. Law number 2, stop being owned by your emotions. Reclaim your sovereignty. How often do your emotions dictate the course of your day, your decisions, your mood? Someone says something rude, and you snap back. Plans change and your whole mood shifts completely. You feel lazy, and suddenly, discipline evaporates. The gym session is canceled. Work is postponed. Make no mistake, you are not alone. It's a universal battle. But the brutal truth the Stoics bequeath to us is this: if you are ruled by your emotions, if you let them drag you like a ship without a rudder, then you are enslaved to them. And slavery to emotion, they believed, is far worse than physical chains on your wrists. Epictetus, who went from being a physical slave to a Stoic teacher, expressed it with crystal clarity. Any person capable of angering you becomes your master. They can anger you only when you permit yourself to be disturbed by them. Let that truth sink in. That person who cut you off in traffic, you just handed them your peace. That breakup, you handed it your identity. That one rude comment online, you gave it your joy, your worth. Stoicism, as we teach it here on Stoic Alchemist, does not ask you to ignore or suppress your emotions. That would be unnatural. It teaches you to observe them, to understand them, to feel the emotion without becoming it, and to respond instead of simply react. The difference between a child and a Stoic is vast. The child throws a tantrum. The Stoic sits in the middle of the storm, observes it, understands it, and thinks. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man of his time, in his private journal, which became the masterpiece Meditations, wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." That is the kind of control we rarely talk about. The power not to be shaken by what doesn't deserve our energy, our attention. And yes, it's brutal, because it means you can no longer blame others. You can't say, "He made me mad," or "She ruined my day." You realize it's all you, your reaction, your choice. But here's the empowering part. You can choose again. You don't have to be a slave to your feelings. You can feel anger without acting in anger. You can feel fear and still move forward. You can feel sadness without drowning in it. That is emotional strength. That is Stoic freedom. Try this next time you feel triggered or provoked. Pause. Don't. Act impulsively. Breathe deeply. Ask yourself, is this feeling useful right now? Respond with intention, with purpose. This isn't being robotic. It's being in control. When you stop being owned by your emotions, you become clear, calm, powerful. You show up steady, and people notice. You no longer get pushed around by every little thing. You are grounded, centered. And in today's emotionally chaotic world, that kind of stability is rare. It's magnetic, it's unstoppable. True growth begins when you stop being a puppet and start being the master. Here, on Stoic Alchemist, we guide you to take the reins. Law number 3, stop expecting fairness. Life owes you absolutely nothing. One of the fastest and most painful paths to chronic suffering is expecting life to be fair. Let that truth sink in for a second. You work hard and someone lazier gets the promotion. You love deeply and the person walks away. You do the right thing and still get punished, misunderstood. And then comes the anger, the resentment, the indignation. This isn't fair. But here's the Stoic truth. Fairness is a myth that we, human beings, create. It is not a fundamental rule of the universe. Marcus Aurelius, aware of the world's imperfection, wrote, "You can commit injustice by doing nothing." Even he, the emperor of Rome, witnessed injustice every day. But instead of whining, blaming, or spiraling into despair, he grounded himself in one unshakable idea. Life is not about fairness. Life is about strength. The Stoics never expected life to treat them kindly. They expected pain, loss, betrayal, constant change. And precisely because they expected it, they were ready for it. Let's be brutally honest. Fairness is a beautiful idea, a noble aspiration, but it can also make you weak if you cling to it too tightly. When we say, "This isn't fair," what we are often saying is, "I don't like how this feels, and I don't want to deal with it." But here's the law, the immutable law of existence. You don't grow by expecting fairness. You grow by facing reality and moving forward anyway. Look around you. Bad things happen to good people, and evil people sometimes win. Effort doesn't always translate into the desired reward. That's not negativity. That's life in its purest state, stripped of illusions. Now, here's what separates the average person from the unstoppable person. The average person waits for fairness, begs the world to be fair. The Stoic, on the other hand, builds an internal power so strong, so impregnable, that nothing external can break them. This doesn't mean you become cold or heartless. It means you stop waiting for the world to treat you right and start treating yourself right, regardless of how the world behaves. Seneca once said, Sometimes, even to live is an act of courage, especially when life seems unfair. Here's what you do. Instead of complaining, use the pain as fuel. Build skills so powerful they cannot be ignored. Love deeply, without expectation of reciprocity. Face betrayal and walk forward with dignity. The Stoic approach is radical responsibility. Not because what happens is always your fault, but because it is always your next move. You cannot control how life hits you, but you can always control how you respond. And that response, that calm, centered, warrior-like response, that is what makes you unstoppable. Fairness is not promised, but freedom is earned, one powerful choice at a time. Join the Stoic Alchemist community to keep forging this freedom. Law number 4. Focus on what you can control. Let go of the rest with mastery. The Stoics, with their immense wisdom, believe that your power, your true strength, lies in a very small, specific place within your sphere of control. Everything outside that sphere, everything over which you have no direct influence, let it go. Release it, without clinging, without worrying. Epictetus put it simply and powerfully. Make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens. Here's the trap most people unknowingly fall into. They try to control other people. They try to predict the future with incessant anxiety. They obsess over outcomes and the opinions of others. And then, with a feeling of bewilderment, they wonder why they feel anxious, powerless, angry. But let's break it down, simplify it. What is truly under your control? Your thoughts, your choices, your actions, your response. Everything else, the opinions of others, chance, the uncertainty of tomorrow, the weather, the global economy, is fundamentally beyond your reach. You cannot control the weather, but you can control how you dress and prepare for it. You cannot control whether people like you, but you can control how you treat them. You cannot control the global economy, but you can control how much you learn, how you spend, how you prepare for challenges. That shift in focus is massive. It's liberating. It gives you back your power. Instead of being pulled in 100 directions by things you cannot affect, you stand strong, centered in your own actions, in your own integrity. Imagine you are in a storm at sea. The Stoic does not scream at the wind, does not lament the giant. Waves, no. He firmly grasps the wheel and navigates the ship with the greatest possible skill. That is what allows you to remain calm when others panic. What keeps you focused when others complain? What makes you disciplined when others drift aimlessly? It's not about pretending the outside world doesn't matter. It's about deciding what gets your attention, your energy. And 90% of what people worry about is completely outside their control. Here's a simple, yet transformative practice. Every time you feel stressed or overwhelmed, ask yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is yes, then act. If the answer is no, then let go. Simple, right? Easy? Not always. Powerful? Absolutely. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. And when you live this truth, people notice. You become unshakable, not because you control everything, but because you control yourself no matter what happens. This is a fundamental lesson we explore in depth on Stoic Alchemist. Law number 5. Practice voluntary hardship to build unbreakable. Will dot in a world addicted to comfort, where every minor inconvenience becomes a reason for discontent. Discipline rises to the category of a superpower. The Stoics didn't wait for life to challenge them. They challenged themselves first. They didn't do it to suffer gratuitously, but to strengthen themselves. Not to punish themselves, but to prepare. Seneca, in his infinite wisdom, once wrote, "Set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest." and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, "Is this the condition I feared?" This was voluntary hardship, a chosen moment of discomfort, purposely undertaken in order to build a mind that would not crack under pressure. Now, think about this. Most people today avoid discomfort at all costs. They never skip a meal. They never sit in silence with themselves. They never go without convenience. But what happens when life inevitably gets hard? They break. They panic. They look for someone to blame. The Stoic, on the other hand, has already trained for the hard days. They have already practiced hunger, fatigue, rejection, boredom, struggle. That doesn't make them invincible in the sense that they don't feel pain, but it makes them incredibly adaptable. You don't build willpower by watching motivational videos, no matter how good they are. You build it by doing the thing you don't want to do, on purpose. Voluntary hardship could manifest in your life like this: fasting for 24 hours to remind yourself that you control your urges, not the other way around. Taking a cold shower when your mind screams no. Saying no to a luxury you can afford, just to sharpen your self-restraint. Waking up early to train when your body craves the warm bed. These small, seemingly insignificant choices accumulate, and over time, you become formidable, not because you are cruel to yourself, but because you realize a fundamental truth. Comfort doesn't make you stronger. Challenge does. And when adversity comes, as it always does, you don't run. In fact, you might even smile, because you've already walked through that fire by choice. Marcus Aurelius ruled during plagues, wars, and betrayals, yet he wrote with calm and clarity. Why? Because hardship wasn't a shock to him. It was an expectation. And when hardship is expected, it loses its power to paralyze you. So, instead of asking, "How can I make my life easier?" ask, "How can I make myself stronger?" Practice being hungry. Practice being alone. Practice being cold, tired, rejected, bored, and staying focused through it all. Because one day, life will throw more at you than you think you can handle. And when it does, you will rise. This is the path of the Stoic Alchemist. Law number 6. Detach from outcomes. Fall in love with the process. We have been indoctrinated to obsess over results. Get the job, close the deal, hit the goal, earn the money, be admired. But Stoicism, with its implacable logic, flips this narrative. Detach from the outcome and haughty. Master your process. Why? Because the result is never guaranteed. It is uncertain. It is beyond your control. But your effort, your dedication, your action, that is always within your control. Epictetus eloquently stated, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." When you desperately cling to results, you are setting yourself up for suffering. You hit the gym for a week, don't see abs, you quit. You launch a project, it flops. You feel worthless, a failure. You love someone and they leave, you collapse. But what if, instead, you fell in love with the work itself, with showing up consistently, with the writing, the building, the thinking, the learning, the effort? That is the Stoic path. Because when you focus on the process, you always win, even if the final result isn't what you had imagined. And here comes the irony, the paradox of this law. When you let go of the desperate need for the outcome, when you stop chasing it frantically, you start achieving more. Because you are not desperate, you are not emotionally attached, you are not driven by external validation. You are grounded in action, in the excellence of doing. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Never let the future disturb you. You will meet it, if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present." This means, stop obsessing over what might happen. Simply work your process with courage right now. If you are a writer, Write not to go viral, but to sharpen. Your mind to express your truth. If you are an athlete, train not just to win, but to master your body, to push your limits. If you are building something, build, not for applause, but for pride in the effort, in the craftsmanship. The moment you tie your worth to outcomes, you become fragile. The moment you tie your worth to discipline, intention, and focus, you become unstoppable. Here on Stoic Alchemist, we teach you to love the journey, not just the destination. Here's a Stoic mindset shift I propose. Show up, act, work, as if the result is already done, and you are just enjoying the craft. Whether you fail or succeed, one thing is certain, you have already won, because you did the work, you honored the process. Law number 7. Embrace death. Live with urgency and purpose. Most people live as if they are immortal. It's an illusion that paralyzes us. They waste time, postpone important dreams, get stuck in self-destructive habits and toxic relationships. But the Stoics, far from being morbid, meditated on death not to sink into darkness, but to awaken, to live fully. Marcus Aurelius, with chilling lucidity, wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think. That is not fear, that is freedom." It is the brutal realization that life is short and we do not choose when it ends. So every wasted moment is a moment we never get back. Let that truth hit you. You don't get to wait for someday. You don't get to keep telling yourself, "I'll do it later." You don't get to assume that tomorrow is guaranteed. The Stoics practice something called memento mori. Remember you will die. They didn't say it to be grim. They said it to stay focused, present, and intentional. Because when you truly realize that your time is limited, you stop wasting it. You stop scrolling for hours on your phone. You stop arguing over meaningless things. You stop tolerating mediocrity. And you start creating, loving, moving. Now, not later. Seneca, with his characteristic sharpness, said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." You may not control how long you live, but you do control how deeply you live. And the most dangerous lie of all is this: there's plenty of time. No, there isn't. That risk you keep avoiding, that business you keep postponing, that person you keep meaning to forgive, that change you keep saying you'll make next year, this is your moment. This is your time. The Stoic does not ignore death. He stares it directly in the face and says, "You will not catch me sleeping on my life." This awareness doesn't make you anxious. It makes you intensely alive. Because the person who truly remembers death speaks truthfully, loves openly, works with urgency, lets go of ego, stops fearing failure, because the ultimate failure is a wasted life. Live as if time is borrowed, because it is. And when you do, you become magnetic, focused, powerful. You don't chase cheap validation. You move with purpose. People feel it. You feel it. This is a central pillar of the Stoic Alchemist. Law number 8. Be a warrior for virtue, not external approval. Let's be honest. Most people live for likes, praise, attention, easy applause. Their actions are calibrated to gain the validation of the crowd. But the Stoic, with unwavering integrity, does not move for the crowd. The Stoic moves for virtue. Marcus Aurelius, in an act of pure conviction, said, "Just that you do the right thing, the rest doesn't matter." In other words, live with honor, even if no one sees it. Speak the truth, even if no one claps. Keep your word, even if it costs. You train hard, even when nobody's watching. That is virtue. That is what builds a soul that cannot be bought, that cannot be corrupted. And it's not about being perfect. It's about being principled. Now, here comes the hard part. Doing the right thing is often the hard thing. It's easier to lie. It's easier to impress than to be authentic. It's easier to seek approval than to stand alone in your truth. But every time you choose what's right over what's easy, you sharpen your edge. You strengthen your character. You become someone your future self can admire. You build an identity that no one can take from you. Seneca reminds us, "I will govern my life and thoughts as if the whole world were to see the one and read the other." That is power. That is a life that does not crumble under pressure, because it is built on foundations of integrity. In a world of appearances, the Stoic is real. In a world of noise, the Stoic remains calm. In a world of constant performance, the Stoic is genuine. Do you want to be unstoppable? Don't live for praise. Live for your values. Live in a way that even if you were stripped of status, money, or followers, you would still stand tall, with your head held high. Because the moment you stop needing the crowd, you become the kind of person that, ironically, the crowd follows. Anyway, be the warrior for what's right, not what's popular. And even if you walk alone, walk as if it's the only path that matters. This is being a true Stoic alchemist. If you've made it this far, it means something deep inside you. It means you are ready to evolve, to leave behind the distractions, the weakness, the emotional chaos, and step into something much greater. Not perfection, but power. Not domination over others, but mastery over yourself. That is the Stoic path. It doesn't offer you comfort. It offers you clarity. It doesn't promise you an easy life. It offers you direction. It offers you a life of meaning, even when the world around you seems to be crumbling. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, they did not write for an easy world. They wrote to survive storms, battles, betrayals, and death with dignity. They taught, use that true strength does not lie in muscles or money. It lies in the man who keeps his word, in the woman who faces fear without flinching, in the soul who does the right thing, especially when it's the hardest thing. You don't need to wait for motivation. You don't need the perfect moment. You just need to begin right now. Train your mind. Expect struggle. Detach from outcomes. Hold your principles. Live as if your time is running out, because it is. And the most beautiful part, you don't need applause. You don't need praise. You don't need anyone to understand you, because when you walk the Stoic path, you become unshakable from within. And that kind of strength, it's rare, it's real, and it's yours. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments to seal your commitment to this powerful truth. I am becoming unshakable day by day. If this message resonated with you, if something inside you lit up, if you felt a spark of truth, please don't keep it to yourself. Like the video, comment your favorite law, share this with someone who is on their own journey, and most importantly, make sure to subscribe to the Stoic Alchemist channel. We are building a community of thinkers, of warriors, of authentic souls who want more than noise, who want to live with purpose and power. And remember, don't skip any part of your life. It's all training. It's all transformation. Keep showing up. Keep choosing strength. And don't stop until you become absolutely unstoppable.